The Miami Dolphins are one of 8 teams still alive for an AFC wildcard spot. And if they have any chance of sneaking in, they'll have to take care of business against the scrappy Minnesota Vikings. Kenny Albert, Daryl Johnston, and Tony Saragusa live with the call.
Welcome to Miami, Week 16 in the National Football League. Here come the Dolphins. They get set to host the Minnesota Vikings. Good afternoon, everybody. Kenny Albert, along with Moose and Gil Johnston and Tony Saragusa. The Dolphins were in a pretty good spot 2 weeks ago at 7-5, but they've lost their last 2 games. Darryl, as Kurt mentioned, still alive.
It's amazing to me at this time of year when players are asked, what's your motivation for the game this week? The same it is every week, to win. And for the Miami Dolphins, first and foremost, it does keep your playoff hopes alive. But in the bigger picture, the players we talk to like the culture that Joe Philbin has established here. If you want to keep your head coach, you better win your last 2, get to 9-7, and force ownership to make a tough decision. And for the Minnesota Vikings, they are not in the playoffs, but Mike Zimmer told us how important it is to get to 8-8. It makes Teddy Bridgewater 7-5 as a rookie starter. It energizes the fan base and adds more validation to his plan to turn this franchise around.
And today, Teddy Bridgewater returns to his hometown of Miami. It's the Dolphins and the Vikings next. Welcome back to Miami as we get set for the Dolphins and the Vikings. Today's game in beautiful HD, brought to you in part by Canon Lenses. Minnesota Vikings, Miami Dolphins, coming up next. A beautiful 78 degrees Sunday afternoon here in Miami as we get set for the Dolphins and the Vikings. Downstairs to Tony Saragusa. Goose.
Thanks, Kenny. Seems hotter down here, but I think there's a couple of keys to today's game for the Dolphins. First, their offensive line has to give Ryan Tannehill time to find his receivers. They gave up 10 sacks in the last 2 games, and that's not going to cut it today. And number 2, they need to simplify their offensive approach. When I watch them on film, it looks like they're trying to scheme the defense, out-scheme them, and get into the perfect play. Well, wake up. There is no perfect play. What they need to do is stop trying to out-scheme and just go out there and outplay this team.
All right, thanks, Goose. First-year head coach Mike Zimmer. Vikings at 6-8. They have won 2 of their last 3 games. Across the way, Joe Philbin in his 3rd season as Dolphins head coach. Miami's still alive for the postseason. They need to win their final 2 games, and they need a lot of help as well.
And that's the one position you don't want to be in. And that's been the issue. There was a group of teams, week 13, sitting at 7-5 in the AFC, the Dolphins being one of them. And they've slid to 7-7. They have to have help from other people, and that's a spot you hate to be in at this time of year.
Jarvis Landry back deep for the Dolphins. Vikings won the toss, elected to defer. So Ryan Tannehill and the Miami Dolphins will start at their own 20-yard line.
And excited to see what Ryan Tannehill does today. He's made progression through his career here as the Dolphins quarterback. And I think a lot of people have to understand, he's not been a career quarterback throughout, his youth and into the NFL. There was 19 starts at Texas A&M. He played wide receiver, played quarterback. So this is a guy still learning, still maturing, still developing at this position.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Lamar Miller in the backfield. 3 receivers set on 1st down. Tannehill looking to throw, and it's off the hands of Brian Hartline.
And the Miami Dolphins offensive line, Jason Fox getting the start at right tackle with Dallas Thomas out. And Mike Wallace, a lot of the talk down here in South Florida in the fan base is the deep ball. Where's the deep ball? All of a sudden you add speed with Mike Wallace. There's a lot of things that go into that. We'll get into it during the course of the game, but just because you have speed on the outside doesn't mean automatically you're going to have success throwing the long ball.
2 tight ends set on 2nd and 10. This is Miller. Casper Brinkley in on the tackle, setting up a 3rd and long situation, 3rd down and 7 for the Dolphins against the 11th ranked Minnesota defense.
The 11th ranked Vikings defense that's had a complete overhaul. Only 3 starters from last year's team. They continue to play well. I really like what Mike Zimmer's establishing here. Xavier Rhodes and Mike Wallace are going to go one-on-one during the course of the game today. He did it with Calvin Johnson last week and played well.
Empty backfield, 3rd down and 7. Dolphins must get to the 30. There is a penalty flag. Now 2 flags as Tannehill took a hit.
On that blind side, too.
Mike Zimmer, his defensive style, great at attacking protections of the opponents.
Tony Corretti, our referee.
There are 2 fouls on the plate, both against the defense. Offside, defense number 73. This penalty has been declined. Illegal use of the hands, hands to the face, defense. This penalty is accepted, 5-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
You see everybody at the line of scrimmage. Now what's going to happen, you're trying to sort through who's coming, who's not coming. But one of the things you'll have to do today, always account for Everson Griffin. Don't turn him loose. And here's Xavier Rhodes down on the bottom. We'll see as that route goes by, you can see that hand come up underneath the chin of Mike Wallace.
So a 1st down for the Dolphins from the 28-yard line on their opening possession. It is Tannehill on the keeper off the fake to Miller. And Tannehill is out to the 33-yard line for a gain of 5.
Now the pressure comes right up the middle on that one, Moose.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not playing defense because I would have been with Sharif Floyd tackling Lamar Miller. That's
Me too.
That's where my eyes were.
Exactly.
Tannehill over 300 yards on the ground this season, as he has passed Jay Fiedler, most rushing yards in a season by a Dolphins quarterback. Out to the 36-yard line, it's Jarvis Landry, who is tied for the league lead among rookies in receptions this season with his college roommate, the Giants' Odell Beckham Jr., both having terrific first seasons. So the Dolphins now facing a 3rd down and 2. Dolphins must win today to stay alive and hope that both Baltimore and Pittsburgh lose. Dolphins eliminated with any of those scenarios, a loss today or a win by the Ravens or the Steelers. Tannehill off the fake. It's complete. Landry reaching, looks to pick up the 1st down. Took that hit from the local product out of Sunrise, Florida, Josh Robinson.
Getting out to the outside. Tackling in today's NFL is so difficult because a lot of it is open field style tackling with the offenses that everybody's running. They're trying to get their playmakers out in space, and sometimes we're critical of it, but sometimes you just see great fundamentals on tackles, and that was an example right there.
And Landry with that reach did pick up the 1st down. From the 38, Tannehill to the outside, and the catch is made by Miller. Lamar Miller out to the 44-yard line for a gain of 6.
And that's the part of the game that he's doing very well here for the Miami Dolphins as a receiver out of the backfield, displacing him throughout the formation, creating some matchup issues. But the one thing I think they miss, and I know he wasn't with the Dolphins long, but if you watch that opening game against the Patriots, no Sean Moreno brought a style in the running game they have really, really missed. Lamar Miller's got to get better at that, just that physical style of running between the tackles.
Dolphins lost Moreno after only 3 games this season. 2nd down and 4. Tannehill looks to set up the screen to Miller. It's incomplete. 3rd down and 4 coming up.
Looks like we may have another play by Everson Griffin early in this game. Watch the top of your screen, number 97. See if he gets a little bit of a deflection on this little screen that's going out. Now it looks like Ryan got it up and over the top, but Everson Griffin having a great season this year for the Minnesota Vikings. You know, you hope guys like this that have that breakthrough, 12 sacks this year, his career high coming into the season 8, so there's a 50% increase. You hope that he starts to get some chatter developed about his potential for a Pro Bowl season.
8th in the league in sacks. 3rd down and 4. Tannehill swings it out. A lot of running room. 1st down and more from Miller into Vikings territory. So Lamar Miller needed 4, and he gained 18.
You had a lot of players from Minnesota get caught inside, and then all of a sudden you've got Lamar Miller on the outside. He's got everybody outflanked, and then a smart play by Charles Clay. He's going to be coming from depth. He can't get there. It's going to be a block in the back, so you pull off. You know, take the yardage right there. Don't cause a penalty for your team.
The injured Viking is Andrew Sendejo. Back in a moment.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Early first quarter in Miami. Dolphins on the move. There is Andrew Sendejo of the Vikings, injured on the last play. New set of downs for Miami from the Vikings, 38. Off the fake to Miller. Tannehill can't find anyone, throws it away. Under pressure from the combination of Griffin and Robinson.
A good job by the secondary. This is always paired up when you're talking about pressure on the quarterback. Coverage on the back end, and here it is right there. Xavier Rhodes running with Mike Wallace. He's got a little bit of safety help over the top from Harrison Smith. That allows those guys up front that extra tick to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, they always look and blame it on the offensive line sometimes. You know, about 2.5 to 3 seconds is what a normal play usually runs. You know, Ryan's got to go and get rid of that ball around that time. It's not the pressure coming with that offensive line. It's not doing a good job.
There's Miller Goose, 10th play of the drive. And Miller wrestled down at the 32-yard line by Ryan Robinson, so it will be 3rd down and 4 for Miami.
And that's a good example right there. Lamar Miller just hitting it, taking what's there. You know, don't get caught up where you're tapping your feet. As soon as you stop moving your feet, that defense is pursuing to you. You're going to get tackled behind the line of scrimmage quite often. So one of the things Joe Philbin, the head coach, was very complimentary of Lamar Miller, making very good decisions with his running lanes.
3 receivers set. Landry slot to the left on 3rd down. Tannehill down. Back at the 34-yard line. More pressure from the Vikings defensive line led by Sharif Floyd and Tom Johnson.
That was just a miscommunication. I mean,
they got an early snap by the center, right? Samson Sattelli snaps it early and nobody else moved.
So the Dolphins will set up for a long field goal attempt. Ball spotted down at the 44, so it will be a 54-yard attempt, which would match the career log. Now it's a 56-yard attempt. Now if they move it back to the 46, Sturgis from 56. And the kick is short. Would have been good from 54.
Yeah, that sack, that little miscommunication with the center adds that yardage, and that, I think, is the difference in this kick.
Today's game by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly.
Terrific field position for Teddy Bridgewater and the Vikings, 5-5 as a rookie starter this season. From the 46 following the missed field goal, Bridgewater can't find anyone. And he's knocked out of bounds after gaining a couple by Cameron Wake. 2nd and 8 upcoming.
And this is going to be a tough challenge for the Minnesota Vikings. They've got 3 of their starting offensive linemen from the start of the year who are out, so it's been makeshift. But it's going to be important for Matt Asiata to have some success running the football. The Dolphins have had some tough days in their run defense. Can you get something that they have to respect during the course of the game to take pressure off of Teddy Bridgewater?
Vikings also without their starting tight end Kyle Rudolph today. On 2nd down, it's Asiata up the middle across midfield as we head to Los Angeles for a game break. Joel Klatt. Joel.
All right, Kenny, let's head down to New Orleans. Of course, the Saints can win the NFC South today with a win and a Carolina loss. This is going to help. Jalen Saunders, in his first career kickoff return, is going to take it all the way back, but not quite in the end zone. Would get inside the 5-yard line. Mark Ingram would score on the next play. Atlanta answered with a field goal. It's 7-3 in the Dome. Kenny, Moose, and Goose.
Big return by Saunders, and as Joel mentioned, Saints clinch the NFC South with a win and a Carolina loss to Cleveland. 3rd down and 7. Bridgewater throws wide open for a 1st down. Jarius Wright in Dolphins territory to the Miami 31. So Bridgewater to Wright for 20 yards.
Just a nice job by Teddy Bridgewater. We're always impressed with his poise in the pocket. You watch there in the slot. Number 17, Jarius Wright, on the crossing route, got the separation from Jamar Taylor right away on that release.
3 wide receivers set from the 31-yard line. It's Asiata. And he takes it all the way down to the 21. Close to a Minnesota first down.
It's an old school running right there. I mean, he's not looking to cut on anybody on this run. He's just hitting it downfield and just lowers his shoulder. He gets another 5 yards after he makes contact.
Yeah, he's dropping the hammer on people. You saw him last week in Detroit too. It's not going to be explosive runs. You really don't have to worry about that with Matt Asiata, but you better have your chin strap buckled tight because he runs really physical. All his runs are finished that style.
He did pick up the first down. From the Dolphins 21. 2 tight ends set. Off the play fake. Bridgewater steps up and then dumps it off over the top to Asiata to the 14-yard line.
And we talked about this Miami defense up front. Cameron Wake and Olivier Vernon on the outside. Those are your edge rushers. Can the offensive line of the Vikings control them? But I think the big thing is shutting down the run and getting them into these obvious passing situations. The great combo up front with the edge rushers, and then also Cortland Finnegan, Brent Grimes on the quarterback. On the cornerback position, that's a tough pass defense.
2nd and 4. Asiata running behind the fullback, Jerome Felton. And he's just shy of the marker, so it will be 3rd down and short for the Vikings following the missed field goal. Remember, last week the Dolphins had a field goal blocked on their opening drive in Foxborough. Patriots turned it for a touchdown. Long field goal attempt today, just short, and now the Vikings on the move.
Complementary football, an opportunity for points, and when you miss those long field goals, you give up great field position to your opponent.
3rd down and 1. From the Dolphins 11, it's Asiata, and he has a first down. And Asiata takes it to the Miami 7. New set of downs for the Vikings.
You have to have guys like Matt Asiata on your football team if you're going to be successful. They're the glue guys that I like to refer to. Nothing spectacular, but everything done very well. He's good in protection. He's a good physical runner. You can see already early in this game how tough he is to tackle, always falling forward.
You like this backfield also, Mush, because they got only team in the league to carry 2 fullbacks.
One of them, Zach Line, inactive today. Randy Starks brings down Asiata at the 4, of course. Adrian Peterson played in only 1 game this season. Jerick McKinnon took over as the starter. He is now on injured reserve, and Asiata doing a nice job so far today.
And that's big, to have the production in the run game that really forces Miami to respect that. If all of a sudden you come out and you really shut that down, Norv Turner is going to be hesitant to continue to stay with that. He may dip into the pass game to loosen up your defensive front. So this is a nice execution on this opening drive in the run game.
2 passes so far. Bridgewater has completed both. On 2nd and goal, Asiata spins and takes it down just shy of the goal line. Jimmy Wilson brought him down, so 3rd and goal from the 1 coming up.
You're absolutely right, Moose. With the run game going and being established, it helps everything. As a defensive lineman, you're playing the run. Now,
I think we had some audio issues with Tony, but you see the little spin out of there on Jared Odrick. That's nice. That keeps you down close here in this short yardage situation.
Vikings send in an extra blocker, 72, Austin Wentworth. On 3rd and goal, Asiata is in for the touchdown.
And they got to get this turned around right now. And the players, the veteran leadership of the Miami Dolphins, as Kenny pointed out, what happened to him at the start of the game last week against the New England Patriots, what happened at the start of this game this week against the Minnesota Vikings, an opportunity for points on a long field goal. You give the Vikings great field position, but your defense doesn't come out and do anything to complement that start of the football game, and you find yourself down quick again.
Short field, 10-play drive, 8th touchdown of the season for Asiata. Blair Walsh, the extra point. Late first quarter in Miami, 7-0 Vikings.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Ford. beautiful things happen when you go further. By Bank of America. And by Target. Expect more, pay less.
Goose, was that you captaining that rescue boat?
Oh, I love it. Listen, it wasn't, Kenny, but I would love to be doing that right now. Got some info for you, too, Kenny. 34, Andrew Sandejo. He's being evaluated for a head injury. Questionable.
All right, thanks, Goose. Injured during that first Miami drive. The Vikings safety, Landry, out to the 19-yard line. Dolphins offense back on the field. Vikings lead the Dolphins 7-0. Kenny Albert, Daryl Johnston, Tony Saragusa. There is head coach Joe Philbin, third season, 7-9, 8-8. Still a chance for a winning season, and still an opportunity to make the playoffs, but they need a win today. And losses by both Pittsburgh and Baltimore as Miller turns the corner and picks up the Dolphins' first down to the 31, gain of 12.
And it's a play that we should see quite a bit this afternoon, because they talked about how important it is for Ryan Tannehill to be a part of the running offense. So that zone read and a lot of those decision-making style run plays with Ryan Tannehill and Lamar Miller should be featured today.
On 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line, it is Miller again. This time getting 4. Now to the 35. Paul Joseph the tackle, 2nd down and 6.
Nice job not panicking there again by Lamar Miller, being patient. You've got to run through linebacker on a blitz coming through, and you just take your time, maneuver through there, get right back into the spot where he just vacated.
Tannehill on 2nd and 6. Over the top, and it's off the hands of the tight end, Charles Clay.
That ball's coming out fast there, Moose. I'll tell you what, Bill Lazor's doing a good job of keeping this defense off balance a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen it. It's the big trend this year, the ball coming out quick. We got to get a little bit more catchable ball. You've got to allow Charles Clay to catch that on the move, put in a position where he's got the run after the catch. We saw a pass on that opening series to Brian Hartline that was a little bit behind. That one's a little bit too far out in front.
3rd down and 6. Damian Williams replaces Miller in the backfield. Dolphins must get to the 41 for a first down. And they do, as the catch is made by Williams. Gain of 20 to the Minnesota 45-yard line.
Had done well. You've got all these wide receivers on the outside you're worried about, and you forget about your running back out of the backfield, and he's just going to get right up the seam. Working against a linebacker, gets pushed outside. There it is. Harrison Smith just a little bit late getting there.
So Damian Williams, the undrafted rookie out of Oklahoma, picks up the Dolphins' first down. From the Minnesota 45, inside handoff. It's Williams, and he's bottled up. Short gain.
Well, Joe Philbin coming from the Green Bay Packers and that explosive offense that Mike McCarthy has up there, and we talked to him about the quarterback position and what are the qualities that you're looking for in your quarterback. And if you take a look here, decision-making and accuracy on the top of the list. Ryan Tannehill's done a nice job this season with his career completion, or his completion percentage and his QBR rating, the highest they've ever been, making plays at critical times. That's where Joe Philbin needs to have more from Ryan Tannehill. They've been in so many games in the fourth quarter, they haven't been able to make that play to get him over the top.
66% on the season, that's 6th in the league. Looking for Brandon Gibson. 3rd and 9 upcoming, as Tannehill is helped up.
Very consistent all afternoon up to this point of being around Ryan Tannehill in the pocket. There's Chad Greenway coming free on a blitz, and they really challenge you in your protection scheme, not just offensive line, but the coordination of your tight ends and your running backs to pick everything up. It's a long day at the office keeping your quarterback clean against a Mike Zimmer defense.
Looked like Greenway had been shaken up on the previous play. Remains in the game. 3rd down and 9. Tannehill, quick release, and it is nearly picked off by Harrison Smith.
That's just a drop.
Many opportunities like that, man. Threw it right to him. He's got to go and catch this ball.
I think he's so surprised that it's there. He's going to be coming from depth at the safety position. All your routes right around that first down marker. A little bit of confusion there between Brandon Gibson and Charles Clay. Have a little bit of a collision on the route running. So just not a clean play that almost led to an interception.
So Brandon Fields will punt it away. Marcus Sherrills, 7th in the league, averaging 10 yards per return. Back deep for the Vikings. Sherrills lets it go. And it bounces into the end zone for a touchback. Vikings back at offense. Leading the Dolphins 7-0. Teddy Bridgewater returning home, had a terrific career at Northwestern Senior High School. One of his teammates for a couple of years, the Heisman Trophy finalist, Amari Cooper.
That's just not fair in high school. Teddy Bridgewater, Amari Cooper, you got to defend that in high school?
The toss on first down, it's Asiata for a gain of 8. Bridgewater's high school just 10 miles south of this stadium.
Yeah, reminiscing about his time here, and you look at the progression for Teddy Bridgewater through his starts. It's been really impressive, and you look at this last 3-game stretch he's in right now, playing very well.
Off the fake to Asiata, catch is made for a first down by Charles Johnson. Out to the 34. We saw earlier Bridgewater 5-5 as a starting quarterback this season. All of the other rookie starters around the league 5-28.
Yeah, and he's still growing. He's still working his way through some stuff. Off to a great start here this afternoon. And one of the things that he's starting to learn, you can't see the entire field at the NFL level. You've got to be able to decide where the ball has to go based on your play call, based on the coverage and the defense that's being played. Norv's trying to teach him. Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator, play fast, turn it loose. Even Greg Jennings.
Asiata to the 41, tough to bring him down again.
Now you can get some information from a wide receiver who's played with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. You got to take that. And Greg Jennings has told him, listen, just feel it. You don't have to see it. Just like what Norv Turner is telling you, turn it loose. And you're starting to see a little bit more of that as that confidence grows. But Greg Jennings, one of the leaders here, is a veteran player on the offense, helping Teddy Bridgewater out.
Greg Jennings, tremendous years in Green Bay, along with the Dolphins head coach, Joe Philbin. 9 years on the Packers staff. First quarter comes to an end. Vikings on the move. Once again, leading the Dolphins 7-0. We start the second quarter in Miami. Vikings with a 7-0 lead. Off the play fake, Bridgewater stays on his feet and gains positive yardage. He slides about a yard shy of a first down.
Yeah, he's making good, quick decisions, and protection is breaking down right here. You've got a little bootleg coming out, and all of a sudden there's that pressure. Randy Starks, Koamisi, everything's kind of collapsing on you. Pull it down, get something positive. Give yourself an opportunity to convert on third down. And stay safe.
Third down and 1. Vikings perfect today. 3 of 3 on third down. Cordero Patterson shifts into the backfield, takes the toss, and is stopped. He has not seen much playing time on offense over the last few games and loses a couple of yards, forcing the Vikings to punt.
You overthought this one a little bit on third and short. You bring Cordero Patterson into the backfield. What am I thinking? If I'm these guys right here, I'm thinking run to the outside. So you got that little inside handoff with the flip outside. Great job by the Dolphin defense on the right side with the pre-snap recognition.
That defensive line was out there before the running back was.
Randy Starks, first Dolphin in on the tackle. Jeff Locke punting to Jarvis Landry. Fair catch is called for at the 19-yard line. Well, ringing the new year on Fox Sports 1 as we bring you a marathon of Big East basketball featuring all 10 teams back-to-back, including a showdown between number 23 Butler and 7th-ranked Villanova. Our Big East New Year's Eve marathon begins at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, goes all the way to midnight, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Dolphins take over at the 19-yard line, trailing 7-0. They need a win today among other results around the league to stay alive in the playoff hunt. Off the fake to Miller. Tannehill hits Lamar Miller out of the backfield. And Miller picks up a first down. Tannehill comes up limping. And now a flag has been thrown at the end of the play.
Holding, defense number 52. This penalty is declined. The result of the play, first down.
Chad Greenway, number 52, right there with Charles Clay on the release outside. He lures him outside, and then he tries to get across his face. You know what? I didn't see a lot there. And then there's the end of the play with Ryan Tannehill just getting kind of shoved down to the ground.
Shoved by Linval Joseph. Penalty is declined. 16-yard gain by Miller. From the 35. Tannehill to the outside. First catch today made by Mike Wallace. Captain Mutterland wrapped him up.
And this is one of the things, if you want to be able to get the deep ball over the top, you have to have success underneath. And Mike Wallace used that speed to threaten Captain Mutterland. You can see him open his hips and already start to backpedal because he's so worried about Mike Wallace getting over the top. You should be able to take all these nice shorter completions early in the game and then set up that deep pass for later on.
63rd reception on the season for the former Steeler. Well, Michael James, the ex-49er in the backfield. As that pass is intercepted, it was batted and picked off by Harrison Smith, who nearly had one earlier. This time maintains control, his 5th interception of the season.
Yeah, he can't catch the one that's thrown right to him, but he can do the deflection and recover and make the interception.
I didn't want that was too easy. He wanted to make it a little more difficult.
That's a heck of a play, trying to drive Jarvis Landry across the formation, get him out in the flat quick. Here comes pressure right into the face of Ryan Tannehill. That's a heck of an athletic play by Harrison Smith.
Harrison Smith in his 3rd season out of Notre Dame. Coming into the game, Darryl, only player in the entire league with at least 3 interceptions and 3 sacks. He has his 5th interception of the season, and the Vikings with a short field from the 23-yard line as Bridgewater hands it off to Joe Banyard, his first carry today.
You know, you guys talked about Teddy Bridgewater and him being down here in Florida, and he might be used to the heat, but Mike Zimmer, head coach, was a little concerned about the guys and coming down here and sweating and dehydrating. So back home in Minnesota, where it was really cold, he went and had the indoor facility temperature turned up to 80 degrees and had the guys practice. They thought he was crazy, but it looks like it's working here a little bit with these big guys. Looks like they're pretty fresh right now.
And pretty hot inside the facility all week. 2nd down and 8. Off the fake to Banyard. Bridgewater throws, and that pass a bit low. He was looking for Banyard out of the backfield.
Yeah, you got to make that completion right there. Give yourself a nice opportunity on 3rd down. Joe Philbin talked to his group about their response last week in New England. He liked the response after that blocked field goal, the way they came back, got it to 14-13 at halftime. He did not like the response when adversity hit them in the 2nd half. This defense has to make the stop right here, force a field goal attempt by the Minnesota Vikings. They can't allow a conversion and more downs for a potential touchdown.
That was the first incompletion thrown by Bridgewater. 3rd down and 8. Vikings must get to the 13. Bridgewater throws, and the catch is made for a touchdown. Greg Jennings.
This is a heck of a route and a heck of a throw by Teddy Bridgewater.
Serious.
We talked about Greg Jennings and his veteran leadership. He's going to be critical for these young guys on the route running in Norv Turner's offense. Get up that stem, push it inside, push it right back outside, turn Brent Grimes around, had the opportunity, created the window for Teddy Bridgewater to be able to get that in there for a touchdown.
That ball couldn't be defended where Teddy Bridgewater put it. That was a beautiful throw.
We saw him miss that throw in Green Bay a couple of weeks ago, so that shows you the development of Teddy Bridgewater.
Blair Walsh, the extra point, so the Vikings capitalize following the turnover. Jennings tossed the football up to a happy fan. 14-0 Minnesota.
Today's game is sponsored by Pepsi. Pepsi Hyped for Halftime, the official sponsor of the Pepsi Super Bowl 49 halftime show. By Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry. And by Domino's. Oh, yes, we did.
Goose, we know that's where you would rather be.
Is that you in the background there, Kenny? I saw a guy with black socks on. Was that you?
Excellent eyesight. Not this pickup.
Not the way that that I celebrated the holidays growing up in Western New York. We were not swimming in the water very often in December.
No, that would have been the polar bear plunge if that was up where you live. Woo, especially now.
You might have been skating on top of the frozen pond up in Niagara Falls.
White snow, brown sand, whatever makes Christmas work for you.
Early second quarter, 14-0 Vikings as Landry takes it out and is wrapped up at the 16-yard line. There is a flag.
During the return of the kick, holding receiving team number 44. This penalty be assessed half the distance to the goal. First down.
That's on Jordan Kovacs. Greg Jennings, 6th touchdown of the season and a present in the first row. Andrew Sendejo back on the field for the Vikings.
And that's important. He comes downhill from that safety position. Great run support with Andrew Sendejo back in the lineup.
Dolphins pin deep following the penalty on the return. This is Miller, spins out to the 12-yard line.
Well, one of the things that we heard from all the Dolphin players that we talked to while we were here is, this is our responsibility. It's our fault. Coach Philbin and his staff aren't missing tackles. Coach Philbin and his staff aren't turning the ball over. They're not making the critical plays at the wrong time. It's on us. And if these guys really want Coach Philbin to stay here and to be here, they have to finish 9-7. They have to put pressure on ownership to really take a long, hard look at the future.
Second down and 6. Shy of a first down, the tight end, Charles Clay.
And again, it's an opportunity to respond right here. You can't go 3 and out. We talked about a big third down opportunity for the Miami defense on that last series, and it ends up as a Greg Jennings touchdown. Here's one for the offense. You got to convert 3rd and short right here.
Two tight ends set, 3rd down and 1. It is Miller up the middle, and Lamar Miller looks to have the Dolphins first down.
Just got enough of Chad Greenway to get him on the ground because he was going to shoot that gap. He was coming through. He was about to be clean right to Lamar Miller.
Set of downs for the Dolphins. Bunch formation to the right. Miller on first down. Gain of 3 out to the 22. Time for a game break to Joel Klatt. Joel?
All right, Kenny, Moose is going to love this. Goose, not so much. A 44-yard scamper from Eddie Lacy. Looking good there. Green Bay with a win and a Detroit win forces a winner-takes-all for the NFC North next week in Lambeau. 7-0 Packers over Tampa Bay. Kenny, Moose, and Goose.
Thanks, Joel.
I don't know if Eddie Lacy is capable of scampering.
Yeah.
We got to get Joel to work on. We have to have a new adjective for that.
Bulldozing is a better word. Bulldozing, and I like it. I like that run.
On 2nd and 7, play action, wide open. It's Clay for a first down and more. Sendejo wrestles him out, so Charles Clay takes it all the way to the Minnesota 45, a 33-yard pass play.
And this is really, in my opinion, the area that Ryan Tannehill can really improve at. And speaking with offensive coordinator Bill Lazor, it's his emphasis as well. That intermediate area, the ball that's thrown 18 yards down the field that turns into 30. We don't have to throw these go routes all the time to get big explosive plays down the field. By design and route combination, you get your receivers freed up in the intermediate area, and they can turn into the big play as well.
First and 10 from the Vikings 45. Play clock at 2. And it's Miller up the middle. Gain of 3 down to the 42-yard line. So the Packers with the lead. Now Detroit clinched by virtue of the Washington win over Philadelphia. So the Lions are in. And as Joel mentioned, we could be looking at a very meaningful game next week between the Packers and the Lions, depending on the results today. Who you want? Who you want? 2. 50. Tannehill on 2nd and 7. Backpedaling, sets up the screen. It is Miller. And Miller has another Dolphins first down. He was chased down by Joseph. Gain of 12.
Joseph does a nice job of turning. He rushes the passer, and then he turns and he saves this play. This ball could be another 20 yards downfield. Take a look at him. He's here on the left-hand side, gets his hands up, knows it's going to be a screen. That's what they teach you as a defensive lineman. Turn and run straight back, and when he cuts back inside, you're going to have a chance to go and make a play. Saved a lot of yardage for his team right there.
Linval Joseph, the former New York Giant. First and 10 from the Vikings 30. Tannehill throws, and the catch is made despite taking a hard hit. The tight end, Deion Sims, able to hang on. Now, we mentioned, Darryl, in our open that the Dolphins 2 weeks ago were sitting at 7-5. Well, so were 5 other teams in the AFC.
Yeah, you look at the logjam there in week 13 at 7-5 and what those teams have done. That's why you have to have the Steelers and Ravens lose out for the Dolphins to stay alive. Good news, Houston 6, Baltimore nothing, Kansas City 6, Pittsburgh 3. Now they've got to take care of their business because all that's meaningless if the Dolphins don't win their last 2 games.
And they trail by 14 as LaMichael James makes it down to the 21-yard line on his first carry today, and he picks up 5, setting up a 3rd down and 1.
And sometimes we get into this portion of the season and we start laying down scenarios, and all you got to do is go back to last year. San Diego had a pretty unrealistic scenario for them to get into the playoffs, but the one thing that San Diego did was they took care of their business. They lived up to their end of the bargain by winning out, and that's what the Dolphins have at stake right here. Surprised to see them drop to 14-0 right now.
3rd down and 1. Tannehill throws, and Clay picks up the first down at the Vikings 19-yard line. So the Dolphins, Darryl, still have a chance. Here's what they need to happen.
They do have a chance, and this is what happens when you go 0-2 off that 7-5 stretch. You have to rely on everybody else to help you out. So there's the scenario for the Miami Dolphins to get in. Number 1, though, the Dolphins win their final 2 games.
And they need 3 things to happen today for sure. As Miller is tripped up out of the 15-yard line. Dolphins must win. Pittsburgh and Baltimore must lose today. Otherwise, the other games next week would be irrelevant.
And this is an impressive drive. We talked about the response on that 3rd and short early on in this drive. They get the conversion there. Then all of a sudden you start to get into that rhythm. The big play by Charles Clay in the pass game.
Second down and 5. This is the 12th play of the drive. Dolphins had a 12-play drive earlier. Missed a long field goal attempt. Tannehill to the end zone. Touchdown. Deion Sims.
That was a really impressive drive by Ryan Tannehill and the Dolphins offense. Very methodical down the field. Going to go to the left side. You put the trips out there. You got your running back. And the inside, you got speed on the outside, and you forget about the big guy. Great route by Deion Sims. That little lean to the outside gets Andrew Sendejo to bite on it, and then he's back inside for the touchdown.
Second touchdown of the season for Sims, the second-year tight end out of Michigan State. Sturgis the extra point. Ryan Tannehill perfect on the drive. 6 for 6. 92-yard drive for Miami.
Today's game is sponsored by Beats by Dre Solo 2. Show us your solo selfie.
12-play, 92-yard drive for the Dolphins. Tannehill completing all 6 pass attempts, including the touchdown throw to Deion Sims. Short kickoff taken at the 21-yard line by Justin Pratto, backup defensive lineman. As the Dolphins kept it away from Cordero Patterson. Teddy Bridgewater, final pick in the first round, third quarterback selected, did not go home, stayed in Minnesota following the draft. Matt Castle started the first 3 games, then suffered a fractured foot. 41-28 win over Atlanta in his first start. 4 more wins since. 11th start of the season today. It's a new franchise record for rookie quarterback Fran Tarkenton in 1961. And then Christian Ponder in 2011. Both started 10 games as rookies as Asiata gains a yard.
Yeah, and Norv Turner came to Teddy Bridgewater's defense this week. A lot of people critical of how he played last week, those mistakes that they felt cost him the game. But if you go back and look at all the change around Teddy Bridgewater this year, 3 different starting tight ends, 8 different offensive linemen, 3 different starting running backs. There hasn't been a lot of consistency. And Norv talked about the other young quarterbacks that he was around and how they had some consistency. We'll get into that after this one.
Second down and 9. Bridgewater steps up. There is a flag as he's taken down by Cameron Wake.
Holding, offense number 79. This penalty has been declined. The result of the play, 3rd down.
And one of the things you can't forget is that this season, the Minnesota Vikings have not had their best player on the roster. Adrian Peterson played in 1 game, and then he was gone for the remainder of the year. Norv talked about when he had a young Troy Aikman, he had Emmitt Smith. When he had a young Alex Smith, he had Frank Gore. LaDainian Tomlinson was with Phillip Rivers in San Diego. He told me Teddy Bridgewater would be so much farther ahead in his progression if he had Adrian Peterson there with him. He shouldered a lot of this on his own and has been very impressed with his rookie season.
3rd and 14 following a sack by Wake. And now the Vikings will punt it away.
It's a nice job by the Dolphins defense coming out in that scenario after the big touchdown drive by Ryan Tannehill, and the offense getting the ball right back to that group. Great drive on the ball by Cortland Finnegan. Charles Johnson, obviously the guy that's going to garner a lot of the attention by the Miami secondary.
Block punting from his 21. Backpedaling is Landry, and he lost the football and then regains down at the 9-yard line. Well, Darryl, this has become a tradition within our crew. Christmas, of course, coming up this Thursday. There's Goose 2 years ago. You and I in the booth last year.
Penny, how come you haven't joined in on the tradition though yet? I mean, you had the black sweater in there.
Well, there's always today, and we might be the only 3 people in the entire state
wearing sweaters right now.
Absolutely.
We already saw something. We get girls in bikinis jumping into the ocean,
right.
And here we are with our sweaters on. So it's absolutely a tradition that our group has established. We have a lot of fun with it, and I am just so excited that Kenny Albert has taken part this year.
I was waiting for a 78-degree day.
Yeah.
There's Miller. Miller out to the 13-yard line. What do you think, Goose? You've been waiting months to see this.
I haven't. I love this. I didn't see it. That's the first I'm seeing it. I love it, Kenny. Snowmen. Look at you.
Snowman in Miami.
Unbelievable. I love it. I love it, Kenny. Love it. Moose, I love yours too, though, buddy.
Now I was told no, my wife wouldn't let me do fur collar this year. She said if you buy another ugly sweater with a fur collar on it, I'm going to hide it on you.
Goose wore the fur last week in New York. 2nd and 6. Catch is made. Out across the 20 for a first down. Gain of 7. Dolphins drove 92 yards on their last drive. Cut the Vikings lead in half. Started this drive at the 9-yard line. As we wind down towards the 2-minute warning, Vikings took a 14-0 lead. Dolphins must win to stay alive, and they also need help. Penalty flag as the catch is made by Landry out at the 24. Gerald Hodges brought him down.
Offside, defense number 97 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty will repeat, first down.
That's an Everson Griffin to Los Angeles. Joel Klatt.
Kenny, let's head up to Pittsburgh, where a Steelers win would knock Miami out of the playoff race, and Le'Veon Bell takes it in from 1 yard out, and the Steelers are up by 4, 10-6. Kenny, Moose, and Goose.
All right, thanks, Joel. Out across the 30 to the 32, it is Miller. So the Steelers with a 4-point lead. Ravens trailing Houston 6-0. And the Dolphins down by a touchdown here. 2-minute warning, first half. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. 2 minutes remaining, first half. 1st and 10 for the Dolphins. From the 31, they have all 3 timeouts. Pressure on Tannehill, being chased by Griffin. Now he throws, and it's incomplete. Hardline out of bounds. And a flag.
Late flag. Maybe. Oh, and then we got a punch thrown by Sharif Floyd. That could be a potential ejection right there.
On Darren College.
That's what it was. Tony Corrente just ejected him.
Watch number 73, Sharif Floyd. Well, it's going to be Everson Griffin on the play here that flushes out, that gets. There's the flag with the hit. It's going to be a late flag.
There are multiple fouls against a defensive player. Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 93. This penalty will be enforced. 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down. The second penalty happened in the same dead ball era as part of the same play. Personal foul, defense number 93. By rule, this penalty will be refused. First down.
It was 73 Floyd. He has not been ejected.
He signaled he was ejected, but he took it back.
Well, 73 and 73. It's going to be the same player on both.
73, Sharif Floyd, who is headed to the sideline.
Watch number 73. There he is in the center of your screen in pursuit of Ryan Tannehill. He's going to be right here. So follow him through the rest of the play. There's your late hit on the quarterback. And then after that, he gets up, and we're a little bit late there. The punch has already been thrown to Darren College. So a little bit of a conversation, but it's an emotional game. We talk about this all the time. Football is at its heart an emotional game, but you've got to be able to manage and control those emotions. And Sharif Floyd lost his composure in that situation and is very lucky to still be on the field.
Very lucky.
Floyd, the first-round pick last year out of Florida.
And having a really nice season, too. He's been banged up the last couple of weeks, finally back into the lineup today, so maybe a little bit of frustration.
Catch is made by Landry, but Xavier Rhodes coming up to make the tackle.
Here's another guy that's up and coming for this Minnesota defense. We talked about last week against the Lions, matched up against Calvin Johnson. So not just that, but also being able to fight through blocks and come up and attack these screens and make short tackles from the cornerback position.
Textbook tackle.
Second down and 12. Tannehill gets rid of it, and it's caught by Gibson. Brandon Gibson to the Minnesota 46-yard line, and a timeout is taken by the Dolphins with 1:20 remaining. We'll check in with Kurt Menefee. What's coming up at halftime, Kurt?
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, we'll check in on all the teams fighting for a playoff spot. The Panthers want to keep their division hopes alive against the Browns. The Texans are still fighting for a wild card spot against the Ravens. And the Steelers and Chiefs lock up in a wild card battle as well. We'll see you at the half.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Low scoring first half, Darrell, around the league. In fact, the Vikings so far the only team in the early games that have scored more than 10 points.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell just got Pittsburgh into double digits just recently on that touchdown run. Boy, he's having a good year.
Green Bay and Carolina with 10 as well, but only the Vikings have scored 2 touchdowns today. 3rd down and 2 for the Dolphins. Miller's in motion. Tannehill moving to his right. Can't find anyone. And then he throws it away.
That's a good job by the defense of the Minnesota Vikings. I think you look at that alignment and you think you're going to get pressure off the edge, and you should have somebody open quick on that side of the field. You look at your defensive players right here on the edge. You're thinking they're going to blitz. You get everybody outflanked and move that way, but they're dropping into coverage, and then they cover everything on this tiered route very well. And when I say tiered, they all got kind of jumbled up. Usually you're flat, intermediate, and deep. They all kind of got bottled up in the same area.
Tannehill had completed his previous 9 attempts. Fans not happy that Joe Philbin is sending out the punting unit 3rd and 2 and then 4th and 2 from the 46. But if he did not convert, you would give the Vikings a short field with 3 timeouts. So smart decision by Philbin. So now down to 1:06 remaining. Matt Asiata gave the Vikings a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. And then Harrison Smith with the pick, setting up the second Vikings touchdown. Bridgewater to Greg Jennings, 14-0 Minnesota. And then a 92-yard Miami Dolphins drive, Tannehill to Deion Sims for the score.
And that first touchdown by Minnesota by Matt Asiata, a similar scenario to what you just described, Kenny. Maybe the reason Coach Philbin going with that conservative decision there, they missed the long field goal try and that drive, and Minnesota went right down the field for the touchdown.
And now the Vikings start from their 13-yard line. This is Banyard. Gain of 3. Now to the 16. And now the Dolphins on defense use their second timeout. Remember, Minnesota won the toss, deferred, so the Vikings will get the ball first in the second half. Mike Zimmer talked to us about what it would mean to his club to win these last 2 games and finish with a 500 record. It would just change the entire complexion of the offseason if the Vikings were to finish 8-8.
Absolutely. This is a team that was 5-10-1 last year. They haven't had their best player on the roster all season, Adrian Peterson, 1 game, and yet here they are in a position to get to 8-8, to show from a record standpoint they're a better team than they were last year. And again, it energizes your fan base, and it really, in my opinion, adds more validation to the great job that Mike Zimmer is doing turning this franchise around.
2nd down and 6.
And one of the things that you always talk about as a team is really being good in your division, and that's the one area that head coach Mike Zimmer has struggled in this year. He feels like he's gaining knowledge about the teams, but you can see right there they are winless within the division, doing a nice job outside of the division. And Dolphins fans, they know this very, very well. The run that the New England Patriots have been on, winning the AFC East 11 out of the last 12 years. You get a team in your division that's very difficult to knock off. So Dolphin fans, they understand, that struggle within your own division.
Dolphins have used their final timeout. Stop the clock with 52 seconds remaining. It will be 3rd down and 5 for the Vikings. Both teams have fared well on 3rd down today. So the Dolphins looking to get the ball back.
They did a nice job last week against New England, end of the first half, of getting an opportunity, and were able to score a touchdown there late in that half. See if they can do it again here.
Bridgewater handing it off to Banyard. And Banyard picks up a first down. Out to the 35-yard line. And now the Vikings will use a timeout.
Looked like the Dolphins had this all stopped, and they were going to get the ball back with plenty of time to put together a drive to get some points. but Joe Banyard just pops out the back end of that for a big run.
Longest of his career, 16 yards. So Minnesota able to stop the clock with 42 seconds remaining after the Dolphins used 2 timeouts on defense to try and force a punt, but Banyard with a nice run. So now Minnesota with a new set of downs from their 34-yard line, and the clock at 47 seconds.
They have a pretty good long-distance kicker. It'll be interesting to see Blair Walsh in a little bit of a slump right now, but maybe give him an opportunity for a long field goal here for Minnesota to get points at the end of the half now.
He attempted one from 68 last week. Bridgewater looking downfield. Now he throws wide open. Charles Johnson. And Johnson is finally down at the Dolphins' 41-yard line, and he comes up limping. Gains 24. And the Vikings use another timeout.
And you're going to watch him work all the way across the field. Here's that tier I'm talking about. Charles Johnson getting into that middle tier, wide open on that scramble by Teddy Bridgewater. And at the end of this, he takes a hit. You can see right there. I don't know if a hand got inside the face mask.
But Jimmy Wilson got the hand up. What a revelation Charles Johnson has been. Drafted by Green Bay last year, spent some time with Cleveland, and he has moved up the depth chart here in Minnesota.
Well, quarterbacks coach Scott Turner was with Charles Johnson at Cleveland, and when he became available, Minnesota, you know, with the familiarity in the system, the ability to teach the other wide receivers the subtleties of this offense, a great pickup for the Minnesota Vikings.
Vikings with 1 timeout remaining. From the Dolphins' 41. Bridgewater throws, and the catch is made by Cordero Patterson. So now the Vikings are in field goal range. Patterson to the Dolphins' 24, a 17-yard pass play, and now Bridgewater looking to stop the clock. He spikes it with 19 seconds. Second down and 10.
Well, when you're talking about Cordero Patterson, one of the things you're worried about is his speed. You can see Brent Grimes giving him a lot of cushion right there, and that's a great route to take advantage of that. We can see that with Mike Wallace from the other side. When Miami has the ball, we've seen them concerned about his speed, and here's Cordero Patterson for the Vikings. You have to respect that. You don't want him to run by you in this situation.
You go back to that decision by Joe Philbin to punt. Vikings would have had a much shorter field and more time had they gotten the ball back then.
Well, the big problem is the missed tackles on Joe Banyard. They had that play shut down. They'd have the ball right now.
Yes, they would. Second and 10 from the 23. Bridgewater to Chase Ford, and he is out of bounds inside the 2.
I tell you, they've talked about his accuracy at practice. You know, very rarely is the ball on the ground. This is another tremendous throw by Teddy Bridgewater. Chase Ford coming here on the outside. It's not a wheel route. It's just a straight route to the outside down the field. And we'll see if that right foot hit the white before he hit the pylon. So keep an eye on the right foot on this step here. Did he get into the white?
Now remember, we are under 2 minutes, so all reviews come from upstairs. Chase Ford out of the University of
Ruling on the
Miami.
field is a completed pass, and it will go under review.
So he was ruled out inside the 2.
I think they're going to change this. I think they're going to change it, Daryl. Looks like his right foot is inside. His left foot gets in. He drags his right foot, has control of the ball.
And the big thing that they've done this year, though, is they've stayed with calls on the field if there's not indisputable visual evidence to overturn that. So there, do you get a good enough look to see if that right foot did stay on the field of play or it made contact with the white?
Let's bring in Mike Pereira from Los Angeles. Mike, what did you see?
Well, that's the key. They're just going to focus on that right foot because every other element is there for a touchdown. So it's, does that right foot there go out of bounds? I don't think it does. I mean, I think you can see a little slice of the green. Now, whether or not that's enough in New York to show them right there that it's in bounds, which I think it is. I know if I'm in New York, I think I overturn this and make it a touchdown.
There you go, Mike.
It's Christmas, Mike, right?
Well, Mike's in
I know
LA.
it is.
Chase
That's
Ford a
right. Let's be
touchdown.
in
It's
the
almost
holiday
Christmas.
spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Christmas season.
Mike's in LA. Dean
Yeah, you guys look
Blandino.
so good in those sweaters.
You got one on too, Mike? I know you got an ugly sweater in the closet somewhere, no?
Every sweater I own is ugly.
All right, thanks, Mike. So Dean Blandino in New York in communication with Tony Correnti. Call on the field was that Chase Ford was out of bounds.
What do you think, Moose?
Mike is pretty good at this. If he really feels that there's enough there to overturn it, I might have to go with Mike Pereira on that. But during the course of the year,
Yeah, you're exactly right.
they've really kind of stayed true to what's been called on the field.
Very rarely do they change.
It's obviously one they really want to take a long, hard look at. The replay analysis has been very quick this season. They've done a great job with their communication back to New York. So obviously they're taking a long, hard look at this one.
It's all about the right foot. You're going to see it. It looks like it's pretty close to the line, but I see green between the toes, right, a little bit forward more.
Yeah, I agree with you on this
See the
one,
green?
Chris.
Yeah, you still see green.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field will stand as a completed pass, the runner out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
Even though it looked like we saw green, the call stands. So it will be first and goal from the 2.
Wow, Moose. I don't agree with that, but you're right. They just stay with what's on the field. Yeah, Teddy agreed with us, too.
Vikings send in an extra blocker, 72 Wentworth. Fullback Felton in the backfield, the handoff to Asiata. Vikings have one timeout remaining, and they will use it here as Asiata is stopped short.
And that's the only play you could do in the running game right there, because you've got to do something quick here with a pass.
Let's head back to LA, Mike.
You know, really, it's good to point out on this that if that's not reversed, then they're not going to reverse very much. And that's a classic example because to me and all of us, you can see a little stretch of green there. But, I will say this, Dean Blandino has stuck to his guns because if you look at the number of reversals, the reversal rate's down to 36% from 45 last year through week 16. So it really goes to show that the emphasis is on staying with the call that's made on the field unless it is absolutely 1,000% certain.
All right, thanks, Mike. Vikings out of timeouts. Second and goal from the 1. Bridgewater looking for Johnson.
And what a huge review that becomes now. I mean, it's potentially 17-7 as opposed to 21-7. So a tremendous break for the Dolphins. Working on the outside against Brent Grimes. Good jam right there. Takes that timing off. That's a timing throw when you're running those quick slants. So the jam by Brent Grimes on the release kind of messes that timing up to the inside.
And what a jump in the middle there.
In any event, Darryl, what a drive. Vikings got the ball back with 53 seconds left at their own 13. Walsh missed 5 of 6 the last 2 weeks. Connects from 18, virtually an extra point. There's Ford, who thought he had a touchdown. It's now a 10-point Minnesota Vikings lead, and yes, we still have the sweaters on. 78-degree weather.
If you roll the sleeves up, it's a little bit more comfortable. But there's no air conditioning up here. The windows are open. The humidity is out. No.
Not much, Goose.
When it's cold, we're cold. When it's hot, we're hot. We're in the elements with you down there, big man. We're in the elements with it. We wouldn't do that to you.
I went through like 3 rolls of paper towels down here wiping myself. Tell you what, it's not that bad when the sun goes in, but when the sun's out, it really bakes. Whew.
Well, it'll be interesting to see as they come out in the second half here, the Miami Dolphins, because you have the opportunity to get the ball back for your offense. You missed the tackle on Joe Banyard on that third down run, and all of a sudden Minnesota hits their stride. But that call, the not overturning that, keeping that, when you potentially, we thought, Tony thought, Mike Pereira thought they're going to overturn it. We've got touchdown now, but now you force that field goal. So that's 4 points. And, you know, can we take that and build some momentum going into halftime? It goes back to last week. Joe Philbin saying his team very on an emotional high after the score late in that game against New England, came into the locker room with a lot of positive energy, and they came out in that third quarter flat. New England threw up 24 on them and just ran away with it. So we'll see what they do this week as they come out here in the second half.
Dolphin fans will also talk about the decision by Joe Philbin to punt on 4th and 2 from the 46-yard line. But if they do not make a first down, if they had gone for it, then you're giving the Vikings a very short field. And we saw what Minnesota did, driving 86 yards in under a minute.
What comes into that decision is how is your defense playing? And obviously on that long field goal attempt when they missed it and Minnesota went right down the field, Minnesota has been moving the ball on Miami's defense today. So that factors into that decision of not going for it on 4th down. I like the decision. People are going to say it's conservative, but all you had to do was tackle Joe Banyard on the 3rd down run, and you give Ryan Tannehill the ball back with an opportunity for points.
Well, the Vikings with a 10-point lead at the half. Minnesota will receive the second half kickoff. Miami must win to stay alive. Pittsburgh leading by 4. Baltimore down by 16. Dolphins need both the Steelers and Ravens to lose today as well, but they must worry about their business against the Miami native Teddy Bridgewater. Bridgewater threw for 118 yards and a touchdown in the first half.
And here's the thing that I think is impressive for Minnesota. They are running the football well. They've got 67 rushing yards on 18 carries. That's something Miami has to shut down in the second half.
So Bridgewater and the Vikings lead by 10. Halftime here in Miami to Los Angeles. The Visa halftime report. Kurt, take it away. Manny Fernandez into the Dolphins honor roll moments ago. The 27th member, former defensive tackle with owner Stephen Ross and the great Don Shula. Congratulations to Manny.
Bring it up, baby. Hey, our last chance on the road. Let's do it together.
Asiata is in for the touchdown. That pass is intercepted. Bridgewater throws, touchdown. Tannehill to the end zone, touchdown.
Can you turn it sideways?
Vikings lead by 10. Today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. Second half underway. Vikings will start from their 20.
And again, the big thing that I thought happened in the first half, I thought Minnesota ran the ball effectively. I'm not saying that they controlled the flow of the game, but I think it was something coming into this game that they felt they needed to do. Miami has struggled stopping the run from time to time during the course of the season here recently. The Broncos 201, the Jets 277, the Ravens 183. If they could get some success there so they could prevent themselves from becoming one-dimensional as an offense last week, having to throw the ball so many times against Detroit. That'll be the biggest task for Miami's defense this second half, is to control that run game of the Vikings.
41 attempts for Bridgewater against the Lions last week, only 11 in the first half today as Asiata battles his way forward for 1. Randy Starks, the tackle, 2nd down and 9.
Guys, I had a chance to talk to Coach Zimmer. The one thing he really stressed at halftime for this Viking team was finish. He says, that's one thing we didn't do last week. We have to finish. He liked the way the offense was physical, running the ball like Moose just mentioned. He thought he lost some opportunities there offensively with some of the catches. But defensively, we need to play better. Better up front, more pressure. We need to get to the quarterback and get him on the ground.
Go. Thanks, Goose. And finish was also the message to the Dolphins from Coach Bill Philbin all week long as the catch is made by the tight end Ellison. Philbin emphasizing we must play 60 minutes, 60 minutes.
Yeah, and sometimes a lot of people get frustrated because it sounds like cliche, but it's the absolute truth. I mean, I think that Cameron Wake put it the best way. You never know when the opportunity for you to make that critical play is going to happen during the course of the game. So every snap is everything you have, and that's first quarter through second quarter into the fourth quarter. Every single snap you're on the field for 60 minutes. You never know when your play or the opportunity for you to make that play is going to happen.
And the Dolphins must win to stay alive. 3rd down and 2. Opening possession of the second half as Bridgewater throws, and it's Greg Jennings. 2 late flags. Jennings picked up a first down out to the 32. We'll check in with Tony Correnti.
Pass interference, offense, number 12. 10-yard penalty, repeat, third down.
Charles Johnson.
So we'll see if this was one of the rubs, the pick plays that we see that have become popular in the league today. So, see, I'm going to go with that one. I can't see the 1 and the 2, the 1 and the 5.
That's him.
Well, you know what? In my opinion, he has as much right to that space as the defender does on that release. He was not a pick. It was not a rub. He's trying to do his release, and he has as much right to that piece of property out there on the field as the defender. So I don't agree with that call.
Touch the Vikings back to the 18-yard line. Third down at 12. 3 receivers to the left. Bridgewater throwing right to Jennings, but able to break free for a couple of yards. Jamar Taylor right there with him, and the Vikings will punt it away.
Starting the second half, a little bit of a slip there by Olivier Vernon, but he's back up and on his feet, and here comes pressure from the right side of the line, and Greg Jennings almost breaks another tackle and almost converts that first down.
That pressure was from Cameron Wade.
Didn't believe they were going to hold out on an down of the season. Himself overload. Week. So the first.
impressive first. week.
Games with
They only scored 2 drives. Back out. Draft choice.
And now flags are thrown. An extracurricular activity.
At the conclusion of the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 50. This penalty being forced half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
That looked like continuation to me. Oh, there it is right there. Well, no, there it is right here. It's the bump. It's a taunt.
Okay.
I thought at first they were going to talk about the hit on the tackle. They're talking about that. Well, you know, that's easy. I mean, I just needed to wait a couple more seconds to see what actually happened. But that's the second opportunity that we've had, you know, today where a Minnesota defensive player has lost their composure and given 15 free yards to the Dolphins. Sharif Floyd in the first half, and now Gerald Hodges here.
Following the penalty, 1st and 10 from the Vikings 14-yard line as Tannehill hands it off to Miller. And Miller gains a yard down to the Minnesota 13-yard line as we approach 1 minute remaining, third quarter. Dolphins need a win to stay alive, plus losses by both Pittsburgh and Baltimore today. Ravens trail Houston 16-7, but the Steelers now lead the Chiefs 17-6. Second down and 9. Tannehill's pass is caught by Clay. Hodges makes the tackle. Clay picks up a first down to the Vikings 3.
Get it out in the open field, Darryl. That's exactly what they're doing. Play them edges, get out there with the little guys, run, and just take chunks away.
But you can see why they had respect for Charles Clay as a route runner. You know, even that, the flat route, a lot of people think that would be easy to run, but to run it correctly and create the separation and a good throwing angle for your quarterback, not the easiest thing to do.
First and goal for the Dolphins from the Vikings 3. Off the fake to Miller. Tannehill throws, and it's off the hand of Clay.
Going to drag Charles Clay across the formation. There he goes into the flat, gets the clean release, but just a little bit overthrown by Ryan Tannehill.
He knows he missed that one right there. That was an opportunity.
Second and goal, the give to Miller. And Lamar Miller takes it to the goal line. No signal yet.
Is the ball out, Kenny? Is that a fumble?
Officials trying to get to the bottom of the pile.
Ruling is runners down by contact at the half-yard line. Third down.
So Miller ruled down as the third quarter comes to an end. Knee down before the ball comes out. So it will be third and goal when we start the fourth quarter. We start the fourth quarter with the Vikings leading by 3. Dolphins facing a third and goal from about the half-yard line.
You've got an athletic quarterback. The opportunity to get out on the edge. See what the Dolphins go with the play call here.
Wallace shifts into the backfield. And Miller is in for the Miami touchdown.
That was one of the things that Chad Greenway told us about in this offense. It's the motions that kind of challenge your assignments, and all of a sudden, in a third and goal from the half-yard line, you've got Mike Wallace coming across, kind of running that bubble behind the formation, and you're always worried about that speed, and sometimes that'll mess up your assignments, and then it's just a simple handoff right back inside. Xavier Rhodes just a little bit late getting in there on the fill.
7th touchdown of the season for Lamar Miller. So the Dolphins have their first lead of the game. They need a win to stay alive.
Today's game is sponsored by Visa Checkout, the easier way to pay online. Visa, everywhere you want to be. By Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. and by the new Amazon Fire TV Stick, the most powerful media streaming stick.
Early fourth quarter in Miami. Dolphins with a 4-point lead following the Lamar Miller touchdown run. Again, Miami needs a win today. Losses by both Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Steelers leading the Chiefs. Ravens trailing the Texans 16-7. Patterson. Patterson out to the 21.
Well, Coach Philbin's got to be happy with the response of his team up until this point after falling behind 14-0 to start the game after what happened in the second half last week against the New England Patriots. The Miami Dolphins have really kind of righted the ship, outscored the Minnesota Vikings 21-3 since that time. And in the second half, the defensive front for the Miami Dolphins has really started to turn up the heat on the Minnesota Vikings passing game. They've got a banged up offensive line. We'll see how they fare in this series.
Banyard in the backfield. First and 10, 21-yard line. Banyard takes the handoff from Bridgewater. And breaking through to make the tackle is Rashad Jones.
Awesome fill by Rashad Jones. Identifies the run and just comes up and sticks it.
Now this is coming all the way from about 8 yards deep at the safety position. You can see that running lane open up, and he closes it immediately.
Second and 10. Bridgewater complete to Charles Johnson. Johnson out to the 28-yard line. Brent Grimes the tackle.
You have to respect, we've talked about respecting speed, whether it's Cordero Patterson, Mike Wallace, and there's a little bit of sneaky speed right there for Charles Johnson. He's a bigger guy, but he can run away from you.
Third down and 3. Bridgewater over the top. It's complete to Jarius Wright for a Vikings first down out to the 38.
And trying to slow down that pressure. Just some subtle things that you can do as a tight end, as a running back, leaving the formation. Rhett Ellison, number 85 right here. Just give Cameron Wake a little bit of a bump. He's right there. You give him a bump, slow him down, gets his pass rush all out of sync. Give your quarterback some extra time.
From the 38 on first down. Bridgewater dumps it off to Banyard. And a nice tackle made by Jamar Taylor.
Guy who hasn't been in the lineup the last couple of weeks, fighting through some injuries. I tell you, when you go back in the middle of the season when he's playing and you see him on film, he really kind of jumps out at you in that secondary.
Second down and 12 following the 2-yard loss. Bridgewater lobs one up. It is deflected, nearly picked off. And there is a flag. Jarius Wright, the intended receiver.
I don't know if there was a deflection, so there is no pass interference once that ball is tipped, so it didn't matter if the defender got there early. But we've got two receivers in the same area, which usually means you got a mistake somewhere in the route.
And 4 defenders, too.
So once that ball's tipped, that doesn't matter right there. The hit by Jimmy Wilson on Jarius Wright.
Ball deflected off the hands of Thielen, and then Wright just behind him.
In action, disassociated with the pass, away from the plate. Personal foul, defense, they're throwing a forearm into the back of the opponent. 15-yard penalty, first down.
I know that player safety is a big emphasis with the NFL, but this is not a forearm forcible blow to the head, neck, or shoulder area. That's just in the back. That to me is just physical football. You never know where that tip pass is going to go. So
yeah, it's still in play there.
I don't agree with that call.
Not at all.
I think Joe Philbin is kind of at a loss as well. I mean, when is football anymore at some point today?
So a 1st and 10 for the Vikings from the Dolphins 49. This is Wright. Some trickery from the Vikings, and Wright picks up a 1st down and more inside the 25, forced out of bounds at the 21.
They almost got this one stopped in the backfield. So I think it's going to be Olivier Vernon right here. See if he's upfield. No, it's actually Rashad Jones, number 20, coming down. He starts to chase. He doesn't see the end around coming his direction. And there's some of that speed that the Dolphins were concerned with. They talked about Jarius Wright. They talked about Charles Johnson and some of their speed.
Yeah, when you're the last man on the line of scrimmage, like Rashad Jones was, he's got to stay as deep as the deepest guy in the backfield and look for that reverse. That's his play.
On the 21, Bridgewater with time, and now he takes off. Out of bounds at the 20.
That's a good thing they had some pressure on, because they had an opportunity for a touchdown to Adam Thielen at the top. Number 19, he's just going to break open in the corner of the end zone, but Teddy Bridgewater is unable to find him.
Second down and 9 from the Dolphins 20. Bridgewater taken down. Randy Starks, 3rd Miami sack today.
Well, Rashad Jones making up for that end around on him, because he comes off the edge this time, comes on the blitz. You'll see him down here at the bottom of the screen. He's going to force Teddy Bridgewater to step up and escape, and it's not enough time as Randy Starks come in from the opposite side from the defensive tackle position.
Third down and 14 following the sack. 3.5 on the season for Starks. Bridgewater dumps it off. And Banyard is tackled at the 15-yard line, so the Vikings will send out Blair Walsh in the field goal unit.
That's a good job by that Dolphin defense, hunkering down after that penalty, which we didn't agree with, gave the Minnesota Vikings a little bit of life there. They got the big end around after that.
So a 33-yard attempt. Walsh connected from 18 earlier. On the right hash. Walsh now 2 for 2. So the Minnesota Vikings have pulled to within 1. One-point lead for the Dolphins. Just under 10 minutes remaining, 4th quarter. Miami need to win to stay alive, and losses by both Pittsburgh and Baltimore. 10-play, 64-yard drive for the Vikings. Walsh pulling Minnesota to within 1. Dolphins will start from their 20, leading the Vikings by a point.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Cricket Wireless. Something to smile about.
Teddy Bridgewater with over 100 friends and family members on hand today.
Those are everybody that was on the nice list. He said if he didn't get a ticket today, his mom was in charge of all that, and you must have been on the naughty list.
Tannehill with time. And it is Clay. Ruled an incomplete pass.
He's not trying to sell it. He's got a smile. So we'll look at this and see if this one hit the ground. I thought it was an unbelievable catch from here.
Oh, no, that looked pretty close.
Well, the ball makes contact with the ground, which, as long as it doesn't aid in securing control, but I don't think he had really great possession as it went to the ground. Yeah, it's wiggling on the ground.
Now on second down, it's Miller. Miller out to the 26-yard line. Gain of 6, Robert Blanton in on the tackle.
But when you can take a shot down the field for a big pass play on first down and then come back and be that effective on a second down run, that's a huge confidence builder for your offense. Put yourself in a nice 3rd and 4 situation.
Dolphins have converted on 6 of 9. Miami empties the backfield on 3rd down. Tannehill over the top for a first down. It's complete to Damian Williams. Jasper Brinkley made the tackle, but Williams gains 10, and the Dolphins move the chain.
And you can see a little bit of indecision by the Minnesota Vikings pre-snap, and Chad Greenway told us about formation and motion and different things that were challenging their assignments. And with him out of the lineup and Gerald Hodges in there, somebody who probably didn't get a lot of snaps because you want to have your starters focus on all the different shift changes as we're seeing right here on the plays. That could start to have an impact on this defense inside.
From the 36 on first down, it's Williams who turns the corner. And Damian Williams has another Miami first down out to the 48.
And you just start to wonder if, the heat, the warmth here, you try to prepare for it by turning up the heat in your indoor facility, but it's the big guys. It's the big guys that struggle with the heat, and once they get tired, it's hard to get them back. And here we are now into the 4th quarter, and Miami really starting to take control, and the fact that they're in this warmth all the time, is that starting to play an advantage for them.
Off the play fake, Tannehill throws, and it's complete for a first down and more. There is a flag as Gibson is shoved out of bounds by Blanton. Brandon Gibson down to the Vikings 10-yard line, a 42-yard catch and run.
Well, we talked about Coach Philbin's philosophy from the quarterback spot, but I'll never forget what Mike Martz told me. He said one of the biggest things for him was courage in the pocket, and Ryan Tannehill does a great job with this.
Defense number 24. This penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
What a well-run route by Brandon Gibson right there. Gets Captain Munderland to bite on it, and you got to have a quarterback who will hang in there, knowing that he's going to take a hit because he's got a defensive lineman, Shamar Stefan, bearing down on him.
Penalty is declined. 1st and 10 from the Vikings 12. Tannehill over 300 yards. This is Williams. Damian Williams works his way down to the 7-yard line for a pickup of 5. Ryan Tannehill, it's his 8th career 300-yard game. Now all alone in second place. Well behind Dan Marino, who did it 63 times in his career.
Something to aspire to.
Yes. 3 for 3 in the red zone today. Dolphins have scored touchdowns on each of their 2 possessions in the second half. And that pass intended for Gibson. Blanton defending.
Dropping down from the safety position to help out Josh Robinson in the coverage. Mike Wallace going deep. There's your speed at the top as Xavier Rhodes has him covered. Always have to be aware of where he is. Good timing on the hit by Robert Blanton.
Third down and 5. Williams in the backfield. 3 wide receivers set. Tannehill on 3rd down. Touchdown. Wallace, his 2nd today.
Well, this is kind of an interesting play because Charles Clay is kind of going up inside, and all of a sudden Mike Wallace comes in right behind him and follows him into the end zone.
Yeah, both guys playing in the same area.
Mike Wallace is out here, but watch 42. Charles Clay, he goes to the inside, and Mike Wallace comes in right behind him. Good job of selling that by Charles Clay. The little inside move kind of occupies Gerald Hodges, prevents him from getting back in to make a play.
10th touchdown reception of the season for Wallace. He has 2 today on 3 receptions. Sturgis, the extra point. Dolphins lead by 8. Week 16 continues later today on CBS and on Fox. Then tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC. Tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN. 8 plays, 80 yards, second touchdown reception for Mike Wallace today. So the Dolphins, who trailed by 10 at the half, now lead by 8.
They've done a really nice job of bouncing back, responding. Joe Philbin not happy with how they responded last week in the second half against the New England Patriots, but that's not the case this week. After falling behind 14 quick, they've come back to take the lead.
Again, a short kickoff. And this one taken out to the 40-yard line by the fullback, Jerome Felton. So the Dolphins, as it turns out, Darryl, taking care of business. The Ravens trail Houston by 15, but 4 minutes remaining in Pittsburgh, and it's the Steelers leading the Chiefs by 11.
That's why in Week 13, when you sit at 7-5 and you have control of your own destiny, you maintain control of your destiny all the way through the end of the season. They did not do that. They have the 2 losses to slide to 7-7. Now you have to have help from other teams. You can't be in that position. So it's the Dolphins' fault for allowing that situation to happen. And here at 7-7, now you got to have this, and can they beat them? You've got to come out, take care of your responsibilities, win your games. But when you've got that chance of controlling your destiny late in the season, you cannot give it up.
Losses to Baltimore and New England over the last 2 weeks after that 7-5 start. Asiata gains 9 out to the 49-yard line. And from a Minnesota Vikings standpoint, they led this game by 10 at the half. They received the second half kickoff, but have allowed 3 Miami touchdowns since halftime. Second down and 1. Asiata picks up the first into Dolphins territory.
Kind of the same thing for Minnesota. 14-0 lead last week in Detroit, and they're unable to finish that game. 14-0 lead here early on. The long field goal attempt. They take the ball, go down the field. They have the interception on the series after that to jump out to that 14-point lead, but just not able to sustain and carry and build on that.
That's exactly what Coach Zimmer talked about at halftime, is the finish, and it's something that they're not doing.
From the 48, Bridgewater in trouble, and he throws it into the turf in the vicinity of Charles Johnson.
Now watching this defensive line, now they're bringing the pressure. Look at the big guys in the middle squeezing the pocket. There's nowhere for Teddy Bridgewater to step up. So those ends have an easier angle on the outside to bring pressure on him. So he's feeling it all across the board. They're doing a good job as a defensive line, this Miami team, of getting pressure and playing together.
Second and 10. Bridgewater steps up and then dumps it off to the tight end, Ellison, who has a Vikings first down. Still going. Rhett Ellison inside the 10. Finally forced out of bounds at the 8.
This is a nice play because you've got Cordero Patterson coming on the in route, and I really think that Teddy Bridgewater led everybody into the middle of the field by his stance, his eyes. He's looking that way, and then last second he just turns and flips it out to Rhett Ellison, and everybody had vacated that spot. It's a late release. You can see Jelani Jenkins going inside. There's Cordero Patterson on the in. I think that's where Teddy Bridgewater took all the defenders to, was that middle of the field, and then just dumped it off in the flat to Rhett Ellison.
Longest reception of Ellison's career, 40 yards on the catch and run. First and goal from the 8. 3 receivers, Asiata lined up to the right of Bridgewater. Bridgewater throws, end zone, there's a flag, and Jarius Wright makes a diving catch for a Vikings touchdown. Looks like it's pass interference against Miami.
Pass interference, defense number 21. This penalty is declined. The result of the play is a touchdown.
And now the decision whether to go for 2 points or not with time left on the clock, 4:46. Do you kick it thinking you're going to get another opportunity for possession, or do you go for the 2 right here?
I'll tell you what, Teddy Bridgewater standing in there, keeping his eyes downfield.
And they've got the offense on the field, so they're going to go for the 2 here to get it tied up at 28-28.
And Cameron Wake brought some big pressure right into his chops on that last play.
So the Vikings will go for 2. They are perfect this season. 3 for 3.
This was a big emphasis, played for North Turner for 3 years on a Friday afternoon. We worked long and hard, short yardage goal line, and 2-point plays, 2-point conversions was a big focus. You can see the success they've had this year with that.
North Turner, who spent a couple of years here in Miami as the Dolphins offensive coordinator.
The previous play will go under review.
To Dave Wannstedt. So they will take a look. Tony Correnti heads over to look at that diving catch by Jarius Wright in the end zone.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed as a touchdown.
We talked about advice from North Turner telling Teddy Bridgewater to turn it loose. Greg Jennings telling him you don't have to see it, just feel it. Here's a great example. Pressure in his face, gets it to the spot, trusts his receiver to be there to make the play.
Second touchdown of the season for Wright. So now the Vikings will go for 2 and attempt to tie the game. Wright slot to the left, 3 wide receivers. And the play is blown dead.
Encroachment, defense number 50, unabated to the quarterback. Ball be placed half the distance to the goal. Repeat the try.
Olivier Vernon, to this will give the Vikings 1 more yard to play with. Does it change the play, Darryl?
It sure looks like it, because we've got a switch in personnel right here. So Chase Ford goes off. Rhett Ellison comes on the field.
So an exchange of tight ends.
More of a pass-catching tight end with Chase Ford. More of when you look at Rhett Ellison, good run blocker, good pass receiver. More of a kind of, hey, what are you going to do with that situation, with that personnel in?
Keep an eye on Matt Asiata also in the backfield. He's a hard runner.
2-point conversion attempt from the 1-yard line. Ellison comes in motion. Bridgewater looking end zone. Stays on his feet. And now he's going to run for it. He dives. The ball came loose. There is a flag.
The result of the play on the fumble, the quarterback was the one who fumbled the football. He was the only one allowed to legally recover the ball. That did not happen. However, offside, defense in the neutral zone at the snap. The ball be placed half the distance to the goal and repeat the try.
The second consecutive Miami penalty during the 2-point conversion attempt.
Yeah, the least penalized team in the league. Watch the bottom right there, the little flinch. Cameron Wake. We had Olivier Vernon on the play before. This one, Cameron Wake trying to get that jump. And I tell you what, those are 2 huge penalties, because you've stopped them, and now they've got another opportunity.
So the ball would be spotted at the half-yard line.
Now look at how the personnel has changed. Now we got the big boys in here. We're all tightened up. You only got to go a half a yard.
And a timeout is taken by the Dolphins.
Timeout. Miami.
The Vikings send in an extra blocker, Boston Wentworth. The fullback, Jerome Felton. And the Vikings, following the timeout, will set up once again. 2 Miami penalties, with the Vikings setting up to go for 2.
And everybody will look at this and go, well, this is really not that challenging for the Minnesota Vikings. They only need a half a yard. You get those big bodies in. We have been stuffed more times than I'd like to remember in situations like this. It doesn't take a whole lot. That defense submarines the offensive line. There's nowhere to go. The linebackers are filling. 6 inches, a half yard can be tough to get down here in this situation.
Yeah, and as a defense, you know, if you have an eligible receiver as a defensive end, you got to hold him on the line of scrimmage. You can't let him leak.
All right, here we go. It is Asiata, and he is in. We are tied at 28. And now more pushing and shoving. Flags are thrown.
And we had this last week in the Giant game where we had penalties at the end of a play. The kickoff was at the 25, and they were able to execute an onside kick.
The return team's 25.
Just your traditional lead there to the weak side. He's broken the plane and then tempers flare right here. Olivier Vernon kind of caught on top of Matt Asiata.
Of the extra point, number 50, personal foul, defense, open-handed hit to the face. This 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
Well, as you mentioned, the Dolphins, the least penalized team in the league. That's their third ever since the touchdown was scored. That touchdown came about 10 minutes ago in real time. We had a review, 2 penalties, a timeout, the 2-point conversion, and now another penalty.
Yeah, and what that's going to do is it's going to allow the kickoff to be moved up all the way to midfield. And you know, in this situation, you've given up the field position. Blair Walsh has been driving the ball deep anyways, and they've been getting it at the 20-yard line. Can you do something unique here and maybe even force them back deeper?
Well, the Dolphins need the Steelers to lose to the Chiefs. What's going on in that Pittsburgh-Kansas City game, Joel Klatt?
Well, Kenny, not good news for Miami fans. Ben Roethlisberger finds some time, doesn't he always? 3-yard TD to Antonio Brown. That made it 17-6. It's now 20-9. Late in the stages of that one, inside of 2 minutes. Kenny, Moose and Goose.
Thanks, Joel. Under 2 minutes left in Pittsburgh. Dolphins would be eliminated with a Steelers win. So Pittsburgh over Kansas City, 20-9. It's now 20-12. As the Chiefs have kicked a field goal, so it's an 8-point game.
Kind of funny, a great example of with Ben Roethlisberger there fighting off the pressure and being able to make that throw, and Ryan Tannehill saying that about Mike Wallace. He goes, how many of those times did we see Mike Wallace on the big play because Ben extended it? That was a great kick in that situation.
Taken by Landry at the 1. And he is down at the 6. Ball came loose. Ball loose at the bottom of the pile. Officials searching. And it's Minnesota Vikings football.
Wow. So that 15-yard penalty, which gets the ball to midfield instead of just driving it through the end zone. I love this decision by Mike Prefer, the special teams coach, to be prepared for this. You're going to tee it up. You're going to just lob it down there in the corner.
Contact had lost the football and fumbled it. Recovered by Minnesota. First down.
Well, Landry slipped, lost the football, was not touched. Exum on the recovery for the Vikings. Number 32, there he is, searching for the football, and Anton Exum came up with it.
Yeah, you always hear that saying, the ground can't cause a fumble in that situation. That's if you are being tackled or touched down by an opponent on the opposite side. When you go to the ground on your own and hit it and the ball comes loose, Jarvis Landry lost control of that football. Nobody touched him down. So that is a live ball.
Second Dolphins turnover. All turnovers automatically reviewed.
The big challenge this week. I mean, we talked about it earlier. Coach Philbin talking to his players about 60 minutes. 60 minutes. Here we are, 4:48. Let's go back to what you talked about with the 2-point play and the touchdown and everything, Kenny. You know, here's that spot where they're unable to finish the game and play 60 minutes.
Turnover has been confirmed. First and goal for the Vikings in a tie game from the 5-yard line. Inside handoff. Asiata to the goal line. He's in. Touchdown.
I tell you, that is just an absolutely disheartening 15 seconds of football for the Miami Dolphins.
Which took about 15 minutes.
Matt Asiata, we talked about him in the beginning of the game. Just straight ahead, downhill, physical runner. Great job getting into the end zone.
Runs people over, lowers that shoulder, and he's hard to stop.
His second touchdown today, 9th of the season, also had the 2-point conversion moments ago. So the Vikings scored 2 touchdowns in 11 seconds with 15 minutes real time in between. And now this scoring play will be looked at by Tony Corretti. I know it doesn't feel like it today, Darryl, but length of games down by about 2 full minutes this season.
After review, the ruling on the field stands as a touchdown.
So Asiata with 2 touchdowns today. And the Vikings go back on top. They trail by 8 moments ago.
Just a complete breakdown by the Miami Dolphins in that sequence from the previous touchdown, 2-point play to the kickoff to that touchdown. It's a sequence of about 3 plays, and it just completely changes the complexion of this game.
Ball's the extra point. So for the second time today, Vikings capitalized following a Miami turnover. In this case, Jarvis Landry, rookie out of LSU, losing the football on the kickoff return.
And there he is. He's just on the ground, but he loses possession of it. He's not touched. It's a free ball recovered by the Minnesota Vikings. But I love Mike Prefer's kick in that situation. And that allows the fumble. And here's the follow-up of that with Matt Asiata. But Blair Walsh has been driving the ball into the back of the end zone from the 35. So with that penalty at the end of the 2-point play, they put the ball at midfield, you drag it over, kind of take it out towards the numbers, pop it up down into the corner, allow your coverage team to get down there. I mean, they had Jarvis Landry inside the 5-yard line.
And he's not going to go and call fair catch inside there either. He's got to take it out or let it go. He's got to make a decision.
Very well executed and great preparation to understand that situation, have a style of kickoff designed specifically for that.
And to make matters worse for the Dolphins, guys, the Steelers have won. 20-12 over the Chiefs. So the Dolphins have been eliminated from postseason contention.
And the one that you worried about was Houston beating Baltimore. They continue to beat them 25-7 with Case Keenum at quarterback, their 3rd quarterback of the season for the Houston Texans. Again, once you lose control of your own destiny in the month of December, it's a tough situation to be in.
So for Joe Philbin, in his 3rd season, 7-9 in 2012, 8-8 last year. Still a chance to finish with a winning record, but the Dolphins will miss the playoffs for the 6th consecutive season.
Yeah, I thought if they could have won their last 2 games, and there's not meaningless games, there's not easier opponents in the NFL, to knock off Minnesota, to knock off the Jets in the finality and get to 9-7. I think ownership has to take a long, hard look at their next decision, their next steps.
Tannehill again, Clay wide open. Charles Clay having a big day. His 6th reception. He's gone over 100 yards.
We'll see if Ryan Tannehill can lead them right down the field again here. They've been very efficient in the second half offensively.
Clock continues to run. We approach 4 minutes remaining. 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line as Tannehill connects with Landry. Jasper Brinkley, the tackle, has another Dolphins first down. Off the play fake, Tannehill with time, he throws, there is a flag on the play. Pass was intended for hardline. Josh Robinson defending.
There are fouls against both teams, and they will offset. Pass interference on the defense, number 21. pass interference on the offense with the push-off, number 82. By rule, they will offset, will replay first down.
And for a game break, Joel Klatt. Joel.
All right, Kenny, down in New Orleans to show you how the Saints were eliminated from postseason contention. The strip sack of Drew Brees, and then Osi Umenyiora Moose meanders down the field for a touchdown. No time left. They would win it 30-14. Moose, was meander the correct call there?
Joel, that is the textbook illustration of meandering. Well done.
Very nice. 3.5 remaining here in Miami. Tannehill to the outside looking for Gibson. We welcome those of you who have just joined us. Kenny Albert, Daryl Johnston, Tony Siragusa in Miami. Joe Philbin's Dolphins were still alive at the start of this game, but by virtue of the Pittsburgh Steelers win today, Dolphins eliminated from playoff contention as the catch is made and out of bounds inside the 40, Damian Williams. Dolphins had an 8-point lead early in this fourth quarter, but the Vikings score 15 points. 2 touchdowns, an extra point, and a 2-point conversion within the span of 11 seconds, thanks to a Jarvis Landry fumble on a kickoff. Brandon Watts is the injured Viking. Minnesota at 6-8, still with an opportunity to finish at the 500 mark.
And that's something that's very important for Mike Zimmer, the head coach of Minnesota Vikings. He told us about it. You know, to be able to come from a 5-10-1 team last year, to not have your best player for all but one game this season, and to finish 8-8, which would make Teddy Bridgewater, your rookie who was forced into the starting lineup a little bit earlier than you anticipated, would finish 7-5 as a starter during the course of the year. And you know, now the Vikings, they've got a new stadium coming up. The team is starting to play well. You energize that fan base, and you add a lot of validation to the plan that you've put in place to turn the Vikings around.
14 Viking points off 2 Miami turnovers. Dolphins perfect in the red zone today. Both teams excellent on third down. Vikings eliminated from playoff contention, and for Teddy Bridgewater, a return home. Grew up here in Miami. Played his high school football just 10 miles south of this stadium. At Northwestern Senior High School, had a terrific career. Beloved in the community. This is Williams. And Williams has a Miami first down. Dolphins trailing by a touchdown, just over 3 minutes remaining.
And here's why that motion can be troubling to what Minnesota does defensively, because a lot of times you want to walk those linebackers up into your A-gaps right here, and now you've got motion. Watch the motion come behind. Well, now you got to peel out and get to coverage. You're already outflanked right there, so you've got to transition out to your corner. You've got to get that communication out to Captain Munnerlyn that I can't get out. I'm outmanned. I'll take the guy coming inside.
Yeah, this Vikings defense is really...
Clock getting reset, Goose.
Really getting too conservative, I think. I don't see a lot of guys, they're showing the blitz. They're not bringing it. They're not bringing the pressure. They're letting the guys get on the outside. They're not tackling well right now. And just getting, letting this Dolphin team go and get big chunks right down the field. This game is not over.
54. Ryan Tannehill has thrown for 357 yards. And 3 touchdowns today for the Dolphins. Tannehill under pressure from Griffin. Catch is made after the bobble by Jarvis Landry to the Minnesota 31.
And so you're going to send the pressure to the inside, and that's going to leave Everson Griffin free, because everybody's got to kick a man down. You want to turn your farthest guy from the quarterback loose, but when he's as athletic as Everson Griffin is from the defensive end position, you're going to take some hits on your quarterback.
Second down and 5. Quick release as Williams wrestles the ball away from Floyd and has a Miami first down.
And this is the cat and mouse game that they do. They bring these guys up, and they've got 3 defenders walked up into the A-gaps. They've got Harrison Smith to the outside. which one of the three are coming? Are any of the three coming? In that situation, all three came.
From the 25. Tannehill on the slant. It's Wallace. Mike Wallace, who has 2 touchdowns today. Clock now at 2:10 with the Dolphins on the move. 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 14. And Tannehill will let the clock run down. He will head to the sideline as we hit the 2-minute warning. Second highest yardage total of Tannehill's 3-year career, now at 379. Two minutes remaining in Miami. 7-point game. Vikings have come back from an 8-point deficit. They took the lead on Matt Asiata's second touchdown today. 1st and 10 for the Dolphins from the Minnesota 14. Tannehill in trouble, wrapped up, down he goes. Back at the 30-yard line. Tom Johnson with the Vikings sack.
Bad decision by Ryan Tannehill right here. He's got to get rid of this ball, find some way to avoid this sack, and credit the Minnesota Viking defensive line. We've talked about the heat down here, trying to rotate through this hurry-up situation, continually rushing the passer, still having some energy in that tank.
Down to a minute 30. Tannehill on 2nd down. He throws, and it's Wallace who makes the catch at the 13.
Tell you, Ryan Tannehill, I love his resiliency. You know, has the sack there, just comes right back up to the line of scrimmage, throws a well-thrown ball out to the outside to Mike Wallace. Unflappable.
Timeout taken by the Dolphins. They have 1 remaining. Career high 34 completions for Ryan Tannehill today.
Been very efficient playing the quarterback position this afternoon. Has the 1 interception, but I really credit that to Harrison Smith with just a really good athletic play on that deflection and the interception. Good decision making, all the things that Coach Philbin has talked about in regards to Ryan Tannehill. You know, decision making has been excellent today. His accuracy has been good. Now, can he finish that 3rd criteria, making the critical plays at the big moments in a game? A great opportunity here to build some momentum in that category with a touchdown pass here and an extra point to tie this game up.
3rd down and 9, empty backfield. Williams in motion, shifting into the backfield. Movement and flags.
Prior to any movement on the defensive line, false start. Offense number 67 with a hitch of his hands. 5-yard penalty remains 3rd down.
Left guard, Darren College.
Well, any kind of movement, but
So now 3rd down at 14 from the 18-yard line. Tannehill to the end zone, looking for Wallace. There is a flag.
You got to get your head around. You got to get your eyes back on the play. They'll allow a little bit of contact, but if you don't get your head around, they're going to get you for PI every time.
Pass interference. Defense number 29. Automatic 1st down.
He's got his eyes back. That's my mistake. He was in a position where he's got him back. It's just the contact that he has with that left arm impeding the ability of Mike Wallace to make a play.
that could have went either way, in my opinion. I don't know. They're both fighting like that. I don't think the advantage goes to either one of them. You got to let them play in that situation. That's a defensive lineman talking to Darryl.
So following the penalty, 1st and goal from the 3. Tannehill fires, end zone.
just a back, releasing right up in the middle of the field, crosses the end zone, and just snaps his head around. You want to talk about some zip on this pass. They're just going to release right into the middle and watch the zip as everything starts to close in.
Great play design with that little cross right in front of him, brings the linebacker out.
There have been 5 touchdowns scored in this fourth quarter. Sturgis, the extra point. We are tied at 35.
And some of those 5 touchdowns happened in a very short amount of time, Kenny, because we sat at 28-20 Miami. And there's the touchdown pass to Jarius Wright. We had a couple of penalties. We finally get it set. There's the 2-point play. There was a penalty on that. They were allowed to kick off from the 50. That was the fumble by Jarvis Landry on that kickoff return. So Minnesota is right back on the field. 11 seconds later on the first play, Matt Asiata takes it into the end zone again. So 15 points by the Minnesota Vikings in 11 seconds to get it to 35-28. And that's a heck of a drive right there. After all that had gone on, for Ryan Tannehill to get his group out on the field and methodically take them down the field to tie it up at 35-35.
So the Dolphins have scored touchdowns on all 4 possessions in the second half. They also fumbled a kickoff, but does not go down as an offensive possession. 35 apiece, and for Ryan Tannehill, a career-high 35 completions, career-high 4 touchdown passes today.
He's played well, and it was a little bit of a slow start. They had the nice drive to open the game, missed a long field goal, fell down 14-0, fought their way back to take that lead.
This time they kicked deep to Patterson. Twice they kept it short, away from Cordero Patterson, and he's tackled at the 14-yard line. Now Teddy Bridgewater this season with 4 fourth quarter comebacks to win games, 4 of his 5 wins, and the Vikings among the league leaders in 2-minute offense.
Yeah, that's end of first half, end of second half, in those situations where you're in that hurry up, 5th in the NFL in points scored. And remember, they've got Blair Walsh. Again, he's had some short field goals today. He's known as a very consistent long field goal kicker, in a bit of a slump over the last 2 games in that situation. So getting out to a certain point on the field to feel comfortable with Blair Walsh attempting a game-winning field goal.
And they have 3 timeouts also, guys.
1:05 on the clock. Bridgewater on first down, spins, and gains a yard. Timeout is called with 54 seconds remaining. Timeout taken by the Vikings, so they now have 2 left. Well, very exciting game here in Miami, Darryl. 5 fourth quarter touchdowns, tied at 35.
It's been a really good game, and you know, we started the broadcast talking about some of the things that had to happen today. Miami trying to play a 60-minute football game. They've done a nice job. Fell behind 14, had that slow start today. Last week it was the 3rd quarter. You know, an opportunity right now for Teddy Bridgewater, you know, as a rookie, you know, to get to 6-5 as a starter, a game-winning situation on the road. Had an opportunity to last week, came up a little bit short at Detroit. They had to try a 68-yard field goal at the end of that game. We'll see if he can get Blair Walsh down a little bit closer this week and see what happens, and maybe Minnesota steals one here at the end.
Tied at 35. Vikings hope to finish at 500. Dolphins playoff hopes have been extinguished, but they can still finish with a winning record. 2 timeouts remaining for Minnesota. Second down and 9 from the 14-yard line. Here comes Cameron Wake. Pressure on Bridgewater, who throws high, deflects off the hand of Chase Ford.
And this is just not the situation you want to be in. This offensive line that's -3 starters from the opening day now is going to be asked to be in obvious passing situations. You see right there Cameron Wake coming in against Mike Harris, who's in for Phil Lodehold, who's been their starter at right tackle. But 3 of their starting 5 out of the lineup here late in the season. You know, can they hold up in this situation?
You got to take a shot down the field right here.
3rd down and 9. 51 seconds remaining in regulation. Again, Cameron Wake with pressure. He's got Bridgewater. Down he goes. 2nd sack for Wake today. And the Dolphins call timeout.
Cameron Wake just has an unbelievable motor. Lines up really wide on the outside. Just a nice little rip and just keeps coming. Doesn't quit. Watch him right here at the left side of your screen. Nice rip move, beats him to the point, wraps him up. Sometimes when you get that free, that's the hardest thing to do is get the quarterback down. But he does a nice job of wrapping up and bringing Teddy Bridgewater down to the ground.
2 sacks today. 11.5 on the season for Wake, who was not drafted. He was cut by the Giants, spent a year as a mortgage banker, worked at a gym back in 2006, had to go up to Canada, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year with the British Columbia Lions.
Yeah, unbelievable story of his path to the NFL, and has been a Pro Bowler 3 times since he's been in the NFL, and that's why it's hard for him. You know, he knows how fortunate he is to be in the NFL, and it means a tremendous amount to him, and it's been so frustrating to get so close so often this year and not being able to finish the game and be in a position right now where they're out of the playoffs again.
Still wears flip-flops with the Canadian Football League logo, so when he looks down at his feet, he remembers where he came from. Low snap, and it's blocked! The punt is blocked! And it goes through the back of the end zone. Terrence Fede got a hand on it. Dolphins lead by 2.
Well, should we really have expected anything else in this 4th quarter, the way it's gone, than to have a block punt out the back of the end zone to be the difference?
Bad snap, ball on the ground. Anything could happen. He does a nice job of getting his hands up on the outside. Ball goes out of the end zone right behind me.
Yeah, you've got to understand who's across from you in that situation. You know, as a punt protector, all of a sudden you look up and you've got Terrence Fede, who you know is a defensive lineman, a big-bodied guy. You got to hunker down. He just drove that protector all the way back into the punt, and now you've got to go on sides from your own 20 here in this situation for the kick.
Terrence Fede, the rookie 7th-round pick out of Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York, with the block punt for a safety. First punt Locke has had blocked in his 2-year NFL career. So the Dolphins take the lead with 41 seconds remaining. So in this 4th quarter, 5 touchdowns, a field goal, 4 extra points, a 2-point conversion, and now a safety.
Unbelievable. Just an unbelievable quarter. We've had, we had the 11 seconds with Minnesota scoring 15 points. And then we've had this scenario right here where the Dolphins go down the field, they hold Minnesota and have the punt block for the safety.
All right, here we go. It's the onside free kick. Adam Thielen dove at it, but it winds up out of bounds.
I'll tell you what, you couldn't have executed that any better off the punt.
Kickoff out of bounds. The ball be placed at the spot of the out of bounds. 1st down, Miami.
And you couldn't ask for a better kick. It goes low all the way across the field, and then right at the last second, pops right up in the air, so your wide guys should have been there for this recovery. Watch this hop right there. Marcus Sherrills, your wide guy who's coming down, gets blocked on the play. Good job by the Dolphins front line and that onside kick recovery team.
Terrence Fede with that block punt. He celebrates on the Miami sidelines. Wild 4th quarter here in Miami. Although the Dolphins have been eliminated from playoff contention with the Pittsburgh victory, all smiles. Miami 41 seconds away from raising their record to 8-7. They'll host the Jets next week. Vikings will host the Bears.
Well, Coach Philbin wanted his guys to play 60 minutes of football today. That was the point of emphasis all week long, and a testament to him and his message, because to have Terrence Fede have that block at that point of the game, right at the end, it was a slow start. and he'll have to talk to his players about getting off to a better start next week against the New York Jets. But through a very emotional back and forth fourth quarter, they hung in there, and special teams makes the play to steal the victory. And for Teddy Bridgewater, you know, a really great afternoon on a homecoming down here. You know, he hoped to have the opportunity to lead this Viking team down for a field goal attempt before overtime or an overtime victory, but it wasn't to be today.
And for the Dolphins, they set a franchise record as their third block punt of the season. Darren Rizzi does a terrific job as the Miami special teams coach. They blocked 3 punts and 2 field goal attempts this season.
Well, the critical plays in the game today, you know, Terrence Fede right here getting the victory shower, you know, blocks the punt out of the back of the end zone for the safety, and we had the other one on the other side for Minnesota where the kick from midfield is executed perfectly down to Jarvis Landry inside the 5, and he loses possession, and Minnesota gets the ball down there. So 2 really, really well done special teams plays today, and hats off to both of those coaches.
So the Miami Dolphins now 8-7, big second half for Joe Philbin's squad. Minnesota Vikings drop to 6-9. Coming up after these messages, the State Farm postgame. Another wild day in the NFL.